Oh, yes, it's Friday. We've got the England International on the way, but also we've got Van Connor right now with his Freeview film recommendations for the weekend. Van, how's your week been, mate? Have you seen any new films? How you doing?
Yeah, not bad, Mr. Ross. How you doing, sir? I've seen some decent... I saw that John Wick spin-off, Ballerina, last night.
Oh, is that good?
Do you know what? It's got some really inventive, like, kills and action scenes in it, but outside of that, it's very direct to DVD kind of thing. But the action stuff is terrific.
It's certainly on my list to try and catch ASAP. Meanwhile, we'd like your first Freeview film recommendations for the weekend, please. Talking to Van Connor, one of the country's leading film critics. What have you got for us, Van?
I have one of my teen year classics. This is from 1999. It is the seminal work that is American Pie, which is on E4 tonight at 9 o'clock. Incredibly problematic by today's standards, in the vein of something like Porky's in that sense. The story of 4 high school best friends from Michigan who all pledged to lose their virginity before graduation, and wacky hijinks ensue. It's iconic by today's standards, I suppose, isn't it?
We'll tell your mother we ate the pie.
Exactly the clip we have. So E4 tonight, 9 o'clock. This is where we got Eugene Levy from, really. This is his breakout moment, playing Jim's dad. Literally wasn't named for, I think, 4 movies afterwards. This is him catching his son, Jason Biggs, in the act of fornicating with a pastry.
Here we go.
It's like practice for the big game, you see? Mm-hmm. And it's like banging a tennis ball against a brick wall, which can be fun. It can be fun, but it's not a game.
Right.
It's not a game.
No.
What you want is you want a partner to return the ball. Do you want a partner?
Yeah. I want a partner.
You do want a partner.
I want a partner.
You want a partner.
Of course. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Don't get that kind of action down at the Greggs, do you? So remind us when we can see that again. They are great, those films, in their way.
Yeah, they definitely are. You can see that tonight at 9 o'clock on E4.
Well, the bizarre scheduling on the ITV continues, because after American Pie has ended, 11:15 tonight, that's 10:45pm, ITV is showing Goldfinger. Now, the last time it was on, I think it was on, Sunday at midday. Now, it is the best, I think, of the Sean Connery early Bonds. Goldfinger himself wants to corner the market in gold by doing something unfeasibly radioactive with Fort Knox. James Bond's got to stop him. Goldfinger's got his own assistant, Odd Job, and he's also got a laser that can cut through metal and almost cut through the crown jewels of Mr. James Bond, played by Sean Connery brilliantly. I mean, this is a classic with, I think, co-written by Tony Newley and Leslie Bricussy with John Barry. I think the best Bond song, really. Certainly the best early 60s Bond song.
I think this is the most iconic of the Sean Connery Bond movies. Like, this is the one I think visually everyone seems to remember. Most people tend to go for either this or From Russia with Love as what the best two are. I think this is the more popcorn, the more memorable, the more sort of iconic. It's the one that clearly wants to be a Hitchcock movie a bit more, I think.
Actually, that's a great comparison. There's also the humour, genuine humour criticism. You know, even at the end when Bond is deciding which wire to cut in the atomic device that's going to make all gold radioactive or whatever it is, and there's a great kind of a physical payoff punchline, which is just great, and Sean Connery handles it brilliantly there. It's also, I think, a real reminder of one of the appeals a critic at the time said of Bond was snobbery with violence. And there's a lot of kind of upper-class snobbery, as there was in From Russia with Love, condescension from Bond to things that are going on around him. So it's 10:45 tonight. It's Goldfinger. You must have seen it already dozens of times. You'll probably want to see it again at some stage, so press record on this one, and here's a chunk of the very 60s trailer.
Stop! Look! He's gunning for trouble. 007. It spells... Bond.
Shocking.
He's the idol of every woman.
Who are you?
Bond. James Bond.
The envy of every man. The nemesis of the treacherous Mr. Goldfinger.
And, of course, Gert Frobe has the rare distinction of playing a villain in not one but 2 Ian Fleming works. One is Goldfinger. The other, of course, he plays the Baron Bombburst in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, based on a story by Ian Fleming as well. Gert, I think he was dubbed for this, wasn't he, Gert Frobe, because his English wasn't of the best at the time. But some great exchanges. Do you intend me to talk, Goldfinger? No, Mr. Bond, I intend you to die. Right, so that's our first 2 films for today, for Friday. Where are you taking us movie-wise for tomorrow, for Saturday, Van?
Well, just for a change, I thought I'd pip you to the post for the first Western of the week, is what I thought I'd do. So I'm going 1986, Emilio Estevez, Kiefer Sutherland, Lou Diamond Phillips, Jack Palance, Terrence Stamp, Dermot Mulroney. I've got Young Guns, the first one, which is on the Horror Channel, 9 o'clock.
Hang on, on the Horror Channel?
On the Horror Channel, of all things. I can't explain half of what they put on the Horror Channel, to be honest, anymore. But this got overshadowed by its own sequel, but I think the first is a really great stripped-down all-star Western actioner. And Emilio Estevez as the man who will become Billy the Kid is a great starter.
Great psychopathically brilliant. Hypnotic he is in this film, I think.
It really is a fascinating performance. And say this is about William H. Bonney, the orphan who's taken in as part of the Regulators under Terrence Stamp, their adoptive father, who's then murdered by local tycoon Jack Palance, and they set out to bring him to justice and get revenge. So Saturday night, 9 o'clock on the Horror Channel. I've got a clip for you. This is Terrence Stamp getting all fatherly with the Young Guns.
Okay, this is one of the best of the Brat Pack movies, certainly an absolute classic still. Here we go.
I got away with cattle.
You're so jolly funny, Master Stephen. That's no proper table manners.
I got away with hogs.
Congratulations, Charles. You and Stephen will be doing the dirty crockery alone this evening.
Sorry, John, it struck me funny.
And to William, both of you.
Apologies, William. Just hacking on you, that's all.
Yeah, we was just hacking on you.
Rumor has it you killed a man, Billy. You don't seem like the killing sort.
Yeah, Billy, what'd you kill him for?
He was hacking on me.
That's a great... Although he didn't correct them for talking with their mouths full, which I thought was very...
No, he did not.
Get on the naughty step for that one. Now, my recommendation for Saturday is, frankly, when it's not blowing things up and planes in the air and ships being sunk and destroyer going against submarines, is arrant nonsense, melodramatic nonsense. It's called Midway from 2019, directed by Roland Emmerich, who gave us some great kind of, over-the-top action films, disaster films, and science fiction films. It was a passion project for him, based on a real-life event, 1942. I still think it's one of the great, well, they say, historians say, one of the greatest naval encounters of all time. It was a kind of Pacific turning point for the Americans, because after Pearl Harbor, they then did a fire raid on Tokyo, which is, for instance, another similar film, which is terrible when they're not blowing things up, which is Pearl Harbor, the Michael Bay film. I prefer Midway, although, again, it is so over-the-top, heroic speeches, looking into the middle distance when they're not blowing things up. Times you might want to fast-forward through it, but it's a spectacular film. It's on Film 4 tomorrow, 6:05. I mean, if you... I was lucky, I caught this on the big screen when it first came out, which was just before the pandemic and lockdown, and nothing... I mean, the sound of it in a decent cinema and the look of it was immense, kind of swirling, mad World War II movie, and it's got CGI that works brilliantly and stuff in it, but as I said, it does have a health warning that actually is at times not nonsensical, just kind of over-the-top American melodramatic nonsense, and it's followed by Armageddon, I think, on Film 4, 9 o'clock, which I think is said the film that was violated the most laws of physics until another Roland Emmerich film a couple of years ago. Was it called Moonfall or something, which was completely bonkers science fiction, which I've never seen, actually, science-wise. I have to try and catch that one. But that's my second recommendation, Midway, 6:05 on Film 4. I think is that a fair appraisal, would you say? Great action.
I would say, yeah. I would say that's pretty fair. I mean, I had higher hopes in Midway, but it just just didn't measure up.
If you look online, you can find, and I think it won an award. John Ford did an 18-minute documentary about Midway using footage shot at the time, which is really worth... It's only about 18 minutes long, really worth trying to catch. But Midway's on tomorrow, 6:05, Film 4 from 2019. Here we go. Gung-ho trailer follows.
Pearl Harbor is the greatest intelligence failure in American history.
This can never happen again. I want to make it right.
At least some of the boys still want to fight.
The Japanese are planning something bigger.
So what's the target?
We believe it's Midway.
Washington disagrees.
Washington is wrong.
If we lose, then Japanese own the West Coast. Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles will burn.
this can never happen again. It's like the audition for an American version of EastEnders when everybody speaks in those, the greatest American intelligence failure since ... fill in an appropriate historical reference. Anyway, my final recommendation, I've mentioned it before, it's so beautiful to look at times, this film, that it almost looks like a kind of painting of the Old West. It's my West End of the weekend. It's Shane from 1953, directed by George Stevens, now a very unfashionable director, but a solid old school. I mean, won the Oscar for A Place in the Sun. He directed Giant, the final James Dean film. Shane is based on a great Western novel, and it's about the mysterious stranger, Tick, played by Alan Ladd in a great buckskin fringe jacket, who turns up from Nowheresville with hidden 6 guns, impresses the boy of the household, Tick, played by Brandon DeWilde, bonds with the family, has an unspoken mad attraction and love for the mother of the household, but also likes the dad, and then bad guys turn up and much shenanigans ensue. I mean, Jack Palance is in this one as well, again, as possibly the most iconically bad baddie in American cowboy film history. It's on Grace Action, Sunday night, or Sunday evening, 6:30pm, and again, if you've never seen this, folks, you know, it is over the top, but it's kind of got an earnest emotional depth, I think. A bit like, it's not as good as The Searchers, but it's a good old solid Western, this one. And as I say, Jack Palance, you know, for this film alone, he should have been given an Oscar, I think. It's a disgrace that he never, you know, he even steals the Tim Burton first Batman film, I think, does he not? Because Jack Nicholson ends up doing an impression of him to his face. It's just a great actor.
He really does. Yeah, he really does as well, definitely.
Here we go then. So 6:30, Sunday evening, it's Shane from 1953.
Call me Shane.
Shane, who attracted the woman with his quiet strength, who fascinated the boy with the glint of his gun.
We'd all be much better off if there wasn't a single gun left in this valley.
A gun is as good or bad as the man using it.
From the clash of elemental forces, George Stevens has created a motion picture unforgettable for its spectacle and scope, its great human story, its deadly conflict.
I've heard about you.
What have you heard, Shane?
I've heard that you're a low-down Yankee liar.
Fantastic film that is, Shane. Where are you taking us for your final recommendation for the weekend, Van?
I'm taking you to the deep south in the blistering heat for a classic early 90s, later in the 90s than I seem to think, actually, John Grisham adaptation. Effectively, the movie we got Matthew McConaughey from, and Sandra Bullock at the peak of her early fame as well, her sort of breakout swing. It's A Time to Kill from 1996, which also, I think, really cemented Samuel L. Jackson as a sort of permanent fixture of film as well. It's effectively an updated for the 90s take on To Kill a Mockingbird, starring Samuel L. Jackson as the vengeful father who has gunned down his daughter's rapists and attackers in broad daylight, and has basically been tried for these murders with only Matthew McConaughey's relatively inexperienced lawyer to defend him, and a legal system that's deeply entrenched in sort of old school Klan and Jim Crow mentalities that are trying to basically bring the guy down before he can have a chance. You must have seen this one. It's pretty iconic now. I mean,
it's a John Grisham adaptation, I think, isn't it, this one?
It is. Yeah. I think after Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men, this is probably the second most iconic courtroom movie of the 1990s, definitely.
I think actors love a courtroom drama, don't they? Because there's long speeches and the camera's on them the whole time. You know, that's what
exactly that. Yeah, it's monologuing incarnate, isn't it?
But they also managed to make this one. It's a brilliant movie. It's brilliantly cinematic as well, and there is still a real kind of suppressed fury, anger, rage, disbelief in Samuel L. Jackson's performance. I mean, the man is an amazing actor.
He really is. And on that note, I've got the most iconic clip of the movie for you as well. So you can see this at 10:55 on Channel 4 on Sunday night. If you've never seen it, it's really, really good. Yeah. I think it's aged pretty well, because it just kind of reminds you that unique quality that the mid-90s for the adult thriller had. But I've got a clip for you. This is Samuel L. Jackson and one of the most quotable lines of the man's entire career.
Were you aware that if convicted, they might be freed in only 10 years?
Yes, sir. I heard people say that, yes, sir.
Do you think men who kidnap a child should be free in 10 years?
No, sir.
Do you think 2 men who rape a child should be free in 10 years?
No, sir.
Do you think 2 men who hang a child should be free in 10 years?
No, sir.
Well, what do you think should happen to them? What would be a fair sentence?
Objection,
do you think
Your
they
Honor.
deserve to die, Mr.
Your
Heavy?
Honor.
Answer the
Mr.
question.
Buckley. Carly,
They
don't answer
deserve
that
to
question.
die.
Yes, they deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
Whoa! Talk about hardcore there, blimey Charlie. He's off screen back with us this morning. You'll find podcasts with cinema reviews and great gossip and inside knowledge.
It is indeed always fun to be back on the mic. It's like we've got John Wick spin-off to discuss this week. So, we couldn't possibly resist. You know me in a good trashy action film.
Do they use... I don't want to do a spoiler, but do they use the Nat King Cole song Dance Ballerina Dance in this film? Because it's called Ballerina, isn't it?
No, they annoyingly do not, but obviously there's a lot of cliched using of Swan Lake, and one of the most amusing lines of Ian McShane's entire career.
Does he get to wear a tutu?
No, he does not.
They missed their trick there,
he does get to make a Garden of Eden reference to a woman named Eve.
Marvellous stuff there. So make sure you get involved with us. Get involved with Off Screen, the great podcast available from around 8 a.m. this morning. And that was Van Connor, one of our favourites, Van Friday, with his Freeview film recommendations for the weekend. We're live till 5. Dance, ballerina, dance.